everyone. My name is Tiffany Ashton. I am the Director of Operations with ClinEssentials. And I have here, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Bogadi. So my name is call it Bogadi. So just Bogadi. And some people call me Lorato, and I am a CRA from South Africa.
Perfect. Sounds great. And we are doing this as a part of the Around the World series that we have. Just this past summer, I visited 13 countries in about 7 weeks and visited clinical research professionals all around the world in Asia, Africa, and also in Europe. And so we're extending this. I wasn't able to get to South Africa on this trip, but we are extending this and now bringing our conversations to you guys live.
Thank you so much. You should have came to South Africa. You missed out on the big five.
Okay. And I have been to South Africa, but just not recently. It was in 2005. I went to Joburg and Cape Town. So that was with the university. So I have stepped foot in South Africa, but just not recently.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So let's go ahead and jump into a little bit about our background. So I'll let you go and go first and just tell us a little bit about how you first got involved in clinical research.
All right. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for extending your invitation. I think this is a great opportunity for everyone that's pursuing a career in clinical research and just someone that wants to know where to start and what are our challenges and what are the good things that we experience as CRAs, as medical writers, anyone actually this in the industry. Thank you for extending the invite. For those just came in, I'm Bogadi Lorato Mongale, and I am a CRA in South Africa. Yes, so I've worked for multiple sponsors, but just to go into my background, should I say clinical research found me? No, it didn't find me. I actually went in and found it. I didn't just, it didn't fall onto my lap. So I studied biomedical technology, and I was working in the lab as a medical technologist, specifically as a cytotechnologist. So it was about cancers, diagnosing cancers. And it happened that I was working with an investigator at the time who was contracted to the lab. And just because I was inquisitive, I asked her, what do you do? Why are your slides different from what we do on our daily routine? And she told me about clinical research. That's what I do. I work in oncology, and she said to me, if you want to join us, do your GCP. And at GCP, you will learn everything about clinical research. And that's how I started. I went in and did a short course in GCP, and I found out everything about clinical research. And I found out other types of roles. So there were clinical research nurses, there were data capturers, there were CTAs, there were medical writers. So that's how I started my networking. And I saw that with a laboratory background, it was difficult to get into the industry. So I went back to school and studied my postgrad, which was biomedical technology, but now this time studying medicinal plants. So I published some articles, and I was also a lecturer. So I became a lecturer for postgraduates. And through networking, one of my students was a medical writer at a sponsor company. And she said, I see that you are passionate about pathophysiology, you are passionate about medicinal plants. If you want to become this, that you want to be in clinical research, start from the bottom. So she said, there's CTA position that's available. You can apply for it. I will help you with the interview, how to prepare, and I'll refer you. That's how I also learned about referrals. And then she referred me, and then I just got in. I got into the industry, and I never looked back.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And it's actually similar to my story on my side, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I learned about the industry. Right after high school, on my way to college, I applied for an admin assistant position at a site management organization. So it was a group of sites that worked with doctors in the industry, and I was the admin assistant for about 3 months, but I was watching them do the everyday clinical research coordinator task, getting the source documents, updating the regulatory binder. And so I asked, I said, what do you guys do here again? Tell me more. And so they said, yes, we do clinical research for pharmaceutical companies. And I was so intrigued that I asked my clinical director at the time, I said, could I be a study coordinator? And she said, yeah, you could. And so I began on the job training as well as supplementing with medical terminology courses. I was pursuing my undergrad at the time, so I needed to kind of bridge that medical terminology and some of that medical background. But that's how I got my start as a clinical research coordinator, and did that for about 4 years. And I knew I wanted to be a CRA. So I started networking with my monitors, my CRAs that were coming in to monitor my data. And so that's how I got the exposure to actually apply for an entry level CRA job, because then my monitor said, hey, I think you can be a CRA too. And I said, oh, yeah, I want to do that. So there's some similarities.
That's an amazing story. And that's a power of networking, and that's a power of being inquisitive, I think most of us fall into it because of asking the right questions to the right people.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really amazing. It's really amazing. Wow. I heard you talking about site level, and I think that was a very good start for you. If you started at site level at that time, you were not even a graduate. I mean, when you were a CRA, you knew all the documents. You know how a site file looked like.
Yes,
that was
exactly.
a good start. That was a good start.
Yes,
maybe
that's a lot of good experience.
Yes, we can also just maybe touch on that, because I'm passionate about helping sites, especially site staff, understand the site documents and site file. If you don't understand the site file and what's supposed to be there, sometimes they do have documents, but those documents are not filed accordingly. But it's a finding when there's an audit, because the site staff does not know where belongs where. Yeah. So I'm really passionate about people who site staff that take files very seriously and want to be trained on that. And what's your take on that one?
Yeah. So, as a part of being a CRC, one of the biggest things is when we got assigned a new study, we took that schedule of events and really mapped out our source document of what needed to be done at each visit, especially that screening. Wanted to get the informed consent form and then build out our source to have all of the requirements from the schedule of events. And then we did that for all of the visits for the entire study. And then once we had that down, we, added, progress notes so we can collect additional details. And we also made sure that we compared it to the case report forms to make sure that we were capturing what was required per study. So that was the good base. So that was our base of how we got started. And then from there, when we had our CRAs come in and they said, well, you're missing this, or I would tweak this, we would take their advice, because we want to make sure that their job is easy and we have what they're looking for at the end of the day as well. So it's that collaboration, but at least starting with the base and then building from there.
Yeah, collaboration is very important. That's very good. That's a way to take it. We are learning from each other and we are helping each other with compliance, right? It's for the safety of the patients and compliance. That's it. That's the purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, tell us a little bit about your clinical trial assistant experience. So, on your side, how did you get that? How did you like that role?
So with my clinical trial assistant role, I found it to be very interesting. Now it was my time to learn about documents.
Hmm.
Now, for the first time, I need to know about also working for different sponsors because in clinical research, you must just learn how to multitask. You're
Hmm.
not just working with one sponsor. You're not working with only one document. You are not working on, you needed to know the type of document. When they're talking about ETMF, what is that? And ETMF is very complicated if you've never done it before. So
Hmm.
I made sure that I master that one because that was my aim. That was my main focus. So as a CTA, you file. So
Hmm.
I needed to sit down. I went to my manager and say, I'm going to sound like I do not know anything, but ETMF, what are we doing? And she said, you're basically filing. You are sorting out documents
Hmm.
according to this criteria, and we want them to be in this specific order.
Hmm.
And I loved it. And also, you worked with different documents with different languages. So you
Hmm.
needed to speak to translators as well. Um, if you're working with a document maybe from China and became just familiar with the kind of document that it is
Hmm.
with stamps, if this stamp, if it has this kind of stamp, that it must be this kind of document. So it
Hmm.
was lovely to work with different teams. Yeah, but mostly it was purely just filing and
Hmm.
actioning items. It also helps you with actioning. You had your own
Hmm.
mail, a general mailbox where maybe you have 50 emails and they will give you 25. That's your action items for the day. And you
Hmm.
knew that you needed to complete these. So
Hmm.
for me, it was a good background to learn about deadlines, to learn about documents, to learn about timeliness, to learn about how do you ask for documents from different CRAs, and how do you file on time, and how do you even speak to coordinators at site level.
Hmm.
So yeah, for me, it was the good background that I needed.
Yeah, yeah. The CTA role is so important. It's a stepping stone to a lot of different areas. So for you,
Yes.
you went from CTA to CRA. Others could go from CTA to CTM as well. So tell us about that transition from CTA to CRA.
I didn't even actually go from CTA to CRA. So I
Mhm.
had um, a journey from there. So from my CTA, that was I was there for going 2 years, and
Mhm.
I decided that if I become a CRA, I knew that I would not be able to travel. So
Mhm.
it was my time to have children and build a family. In the
Mhm.
meantime, I just had a small company just to sustain myself and write publications here and there. I was
Mhm.
involved in charity, but still in the health industry, just so that
Mhm.
I close the gap. It's important that if you have a gap in your CV or in your years, do something
Mhm.
just to still keep yourself relevant in the industry. So
True.
that's what I did. Yeah. And I received an opportunity to be a medical writer.
Ah,
And
that's.
yes, a medical writer. So they were looking at the publications that I've written during this time of my maternity leave or time just to build a family. My
Mhm.
presentations in Canada, I was so involved in the industry, and I also won awards. So one of the awards was top women in science, Standard Bank at the time, women of stature. So they were recognizing people who are excelling in science but are still involved in their communities. Because I had an NGO that
Mhm.
was catering for mothers in public hospitals. So people who did not have money to take care of their kids, I had a company that would just have gifts and a kit, for mothers and
Mhm.
babies.
Mhm.
So yeah, just to stay relevant, do something in the meantime.
Mhm.
So medical writing came and I mastered that. I knew that I knew the documents that you needed as for a drug to be approved. So a medical writer, we have three different medical writers. You have, let's say, commercial medical writer. You have a medical writer for post-marketing and pre-marketing. So I was working with pre and post-marketing. So I was writing to the regulatory body for any drug that comes to us and we want to submit it for approval. I was writing the risk management plans, those kind of documents. It's also learning about documents that are required at SAPRA. We call it SAPRA here in South Africa, the regulatory body.
Okay.
Yes. So I did that for some time. And through networking, a friend of mine received an opportunity as an in-house CRA. And she called me. She said, "Ma'am, I know that you started as a CTA and you want to be a CRA now. I think this is a good opportunity for you to start." And I went into in-house CRA. In-house CRA. In-house CRA is basically just a little top level from CTA.
Okay.
Yes, you are doing the same thing. You are just filing documents. You're filing documents. You are compliant, but you work closely with the CRA. So, and it's not so many sponsors. It's one sponsor. You are here. You are the in-house CRA for the sponsor and for this specific site for this specific study. So it's narrowed down to basically being an assistant to a CRA.
Yeah.
So you are making sure that she receives all the documents on time. You follow up with all the emails that she has sent. So you learn communication skills now. You learn how to speak, how the communication style of coordinators, the communication style of investigators, who is at site, who has resigned. You just make sure that things are still afloat as an in-house. Yeah, so that I knew that it was a stepping stone into getting a CRA role, so I took it. From medical writing, straight into in-house. I went in.
Look at this progression. I love it. And medical writing is really great experience to have because not a lot of people have that. And so to be able to get that early in your career based off of all of the publications you had before, that is excellent. That's something that you'll use that medical writing way into your clinical research career. You'll continue to use that. Oh, wow. And in-house CRA in the US, in-house CRAs are not at every company. Some companies have them, some companies don't. But they are so powerful to the team when there is an in-house CRA there because they really take the burden off of the traveling CRA because they're able to follow up, post queries, do some of those more administrative tasks that the CRAs are bogged down with. They're able to do it for them when there is the luxury. I say there are luxury roles in-house CRA in the US.
I know. It's actually a luxury. When I went into my CRA role, I was expecting, an in-house CRA. And at that specifically, there were no in-house CRAs dedicated to you. There was one CTA who is for all CRAs, but no follow-ups for you. You are responsible for your own emails. You are responsible for your own communication. And also, if you are a junior CRA, I think it's a good start as well because you will know the health of your site. You need to be up to date with everything that's happening in the study.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So in the Around the World series, the thing that struck me the most is we're so much similar than we are different around the world. Everything that you're saying is what we're doing over here. And so I love it because it makes you aware. You're thinking, well, what are they doing in South Africa? What are they doing in France? But when you ask the questions, same roles, same everything. So, there are some similarities. I mean, some differences, but more so similarities than anything.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about this career. You can work from anywhere in the world, if you're lucky enough to get an international company, they can literally send laptops from wherever they are to your country, and you work remotely, and they know that we have different time zones. So you can do your work in your South African time, and somebody can be in China, and you communicate it within those gaps. I know as a South African, obviously I'll go to site during the day, but my data management team is in China. And I knew that if I needed something to be closed, if I needed a query to be closed and it's urgent, I need to stay up until 3:00, 3 a.m. and just speak to the specific person, and we resolve the issue. It's fun. It's really fun to have someone in a different country and who can also compromise their sleep just to come and speak to you. Exactly. I love it. I love the teamwork spirit in clinical research.
Yes, we do whatever needs to be done to get the job done.
Needs to be done to get the job done.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about your transition from in-house CRA to field CRA, or doing the traveling.
Yes, that was what was I think it was coming. If you have experience and it is an in-house, obviously all companies will want you to fill the role, and it's growth. Every movement that you see from anyone in clinical research, it's really about the growth. I received an opportunity and I grabbed it with both hands. And even during training, I started training, I think within 3 months, I was already at site, I was already traveling. And that's where time management comes in. You need to...
I tell you, yes, time management, CRA.
Time management comes in. You have your suitcase ready, and you know that you are going to go to site any week. Also, because you are new to the company, you need to go to different sites and co-monitor with other CRAs, so that if you need to stand in for them, you already know the stuff. So I loved the previous company for that. They allowed you to go to site as many times as you needed to go to site and co-monitor. I co-monitored so many in my first 6 months. I co-monitored with all the CRAs in the company, I'm sure. Wow. In the study. Yeah, you would go, and with CRA work, if I can tell any young CRA, I would say it's a job that you learn by observing, and it's a job that you learn from seniors. I remember I once took the whole day to do IP reconciliation. And and the senior CRA just came and Bogadi, are you still okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. I was counting those bottles at 400 bottles one by one. And the next day she said, okay, you can do this 200. I'll do the 200 tomorrow. She came in tomorrow and did that IP return in 15 minutes. And
I've been there too.
She did it in 15 minutes. And I thought, you know what? Some things are just experience, and you need to see. And she said, no, I left you so that I can see where you are. I knew that you would count them bottle to bottle, pill to pill. But here's a system that I've developed over years. This is how you can do it so quickly, and you are done. So I relied so much on my senior CRAs for everything. If I don't know something, or it's taking me too long to complete this thing, I would just ask them.
Yeah, exactly. Because they've been there. I've had a table full of IP, and I'm like, I have 3 hours before my flight. Okay, how are we going to do this? Okay, we're going to have to, do patients 1 through 10 this time, and then do 11 through 20 the next time. So you have to, that time management is so important. And, that takes me to, do you structure your day when you get to your site? Are there any specific questions, or how do you structure your day as soon as you arrive on site as a CRA?
Okay, so how I structure my day is all documented, so that even if somebody, if I can't go to site that day, somebody else was going to take over would know exactly what my site has prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in my confirmation letter, I'm going to write on my confirmation letter everything that I need. So I'll ask them for specific files. This is what I need, and I know that this week we worked on these queries. Just ensure that they are all closed, they are all sorted. Then I will, in the same email, write pharmacy. So I'll have functions and sections. The pharmacy, I'll tell them this is what I need, this is what I'm going to do, and I'll be there at this time. Laboratory, this is what I need, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'll be there at that time. Please confirm this time. And my coordinator, these are the files. And if I'm done with these, maybe I can pick 10. Then I'll say, just make sure that you have 5 on standby. So on my confirmation letter, exactly what I'm going to do with time slots. That's how I want it. And so that site is very, very busy. They have multiple sites, and sometimes you're not the only CRA. So I just want them also to have a schedule to know that Bogadi will be here at 8:00 in the morning. She will be in the lab first, and this is what she's going to do. And in my 3 days there, I like to go to site for 3 days. First day, you monitor, you're finished with the lab. On your follow-up email from the confirmation, just write the tasks that you have completed to say, thank you, this is how we spend the day, and I was able to complete this and this and that. Tomorrow I'll be coming back and finishing this one off. All right. You're also reminding the pharmacy that I'm coming tomorrow. All right. And please highlight them. This is what I'll be looking at. And also, it just shows the investigator in the background what we're going to be talking about at our closeout, at the meeting, the exit meeting. So that's how I keep everybody in contact and in power of what I'll be needing. Then on the third day, in the morning, I'll ask them to say, this is what we've done. These were the findings. How far are we? If we can please just make sure that we close this and resolve this before I leave. And if you have any questions, 1:00 in the afternoon, I'm here for our exit meeting. And in our exit meeting, then I will just thank them for everything and just state things that I found.
Okay. Wow. Oh, I love that. Very detailed, kept them on track, and it's a good paper trail for you. So when you go to write your monitoring visit report, you have everything right there in that letter.
Yes. It's very important. And that's one thing also I learned from a CRA that our senior CRA was co-monitoring with. Everything that she wrote on email is basically what she was going to extend to her report. So you don't do double work.
Exactly.
And as you open a query, then you write it. If there's a deviation already, you're going to put it on the report. Do your report as you are at site. Because sometimes they are back-to-back reports. You go to a site this week, you travel this week, and you write your report next week. You're writing another report. That means you've submitted this one, and the next week when you submit this one, you have to finalize the one that you wrote before that. So you really need to manage your time. It's challenging, but you need to do it.
Yeah, because the data starts running together from all of the different sites as you keep going back to one site, next week another site, if you don't keep good records, all of the information starts running together and you're saying, is that site or this site? So it's so important there.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to just start off as a CRA and monitor multiple sites. I was just lucky enough to have multiple sites at that time. And I think that's what gave me the confidence to go and do I'm sure you were coming to that, to be a contract CRA, because I felt that I did 10 years work in just a short space of time. And I believe that I did it so well. I gave it my all. And if I managed so many sites by myself with the experience that I had, and the way I received feedback from the investigators, I thought, you know what, I can actually be a contract CRA and monitor my own time because I'm a mother.
Yeah.
I'm a mother, and I cannot travel week in and week out. That's the
Mhm.
main reason I started being a contract CRA. I
Mhm.
want to say that I know that I'm contracted to only two sites, and
Mhm.
that is how it's going to be for the rest of the year or for 2 years. But
Mhm.
if you are with a sponsor, you don't actually know if you're going to have 10 sites.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So it
Yeah.
was basically just me trying to control my time and work life balance. It's
Yes.
very important for me.
Yes, yes. Oh, this is great because everyone now on my side, after doing CRA, I got married as well, and I said, family is coming soon. I can't keep traveling the way in the US. Our expectations are usually 8 to 10 days on site per month, not
Yeah.
including travel. So
Okay.
you could leave Monday, you could get back Thursday night, or you could get back Friday. So your whole week is gone. You have to prepare for the next week. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of travel. The travel demand in the US can be a little bit crazy. And depending on your sponsor and the need, I'm in Texas. They may not just keep you in the central region and around Texas. They may send me to California. They may send me to New York. So that travel time becomes greater because I have to go a full day ahead. So looking ahead from CRA, I said, I'm going to have to do something different because I want to have a better work life balance. And so on my side, I went to CTM, so clinical trial manager, because I
Yeah.
like that management aspect of the trials, and you rarely travel as a CTM. Maybe, kickoff meeting, investigators meeting, problem site, but that's not your norm there. So that
Yes.
was
Yeah.
one of the reasons I wanted to move to CTM on my side. So similar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar. We also recommended days. Yes, it's 8 days on site, I think, for most companies.
Okay.
But really, the challenge becomes what you just touched on now
Hmm.
when you have to travel to another town. You
Hmm.
know, the admin. I think we underestimate what the admin that comes with traveling and
Hmm.
having to flights and having to make sure that your expenses are in order. I
Hmm.
hated that part of CRA work. I don't want expenses. I don't like it.
Well, those receipts, they start blending together too.
I hated those.
Yeah.
But yeah, the admin of it.
Hmm.
I know that we focus on going to site, having your report. Are your queries closed? Do you have the latest ICF?
Hmm.
Um, did you get a signature from your investigator? There's an
Hmm.
investigator meeting we run around. But the admin part of CRA work is
Hmm.
underestimated.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And the emails as well. The email and keeping everything organized.
And the emails, actually, yeah, and the emails as well. And what would you give advice to a new CRA
Hmm.
who does not know how to manage their emails?
Mm.
How have you done it as in your career thus far?
Yeah, so I actually have a YouTube video. I'm gonna have to link it below, but there's a way that I organize my Outlook based off of colors. And
Okay.
so it's using conditional formatting. So, for instance, if someone says, "Hi, Tiffany," in the email body, I programmed my Outlook where it pops up pink. So I know someone says Tiffany, they are literally talking to me. Versus if it's not pink, I'm on a copy line. So it's just like
Wow.
semi-awareness. So that's number one, conditional formatting. The next one would be rules. So like we get a lot of IRT alerts and lab alerts, making rules where anything that comes in from the lab, you move it automatically to a specific folder. And then if you do need a report or IRT report, you go to that folder and find it, but it's not clogging down your Outlook inbox. So those are just a couple of like tips, but I did like a whole 20-minute video on how to set up your Outlook. And I think that is key for any clinical research professional, CRC, CRA, CTA, CTM, because we get about 100 emails per day easily. You have to
Okay. Yes, I love that one. That the pink that just says Bogadi, and that this is email for me. That would
Exactly.
work.
Yes.
I'll also look at your YouTube.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So that one really, someone taught me that as I was a project manager, and she was on top of her stuff. I was like, how do you keep this email so good? She said, don't you know about conditional formatting? I said, never heard of it. And so she showed me, and that was 7 years ago, and that changed my life with the email volume.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like us to look at some questions from the audience?
Yes, let's go ahead. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down and see if you guys have any questions. Definitely drop them in the chat. We have, a couple of perspectives on way you can navigate to the CRA role, or if you're interested in being a CTM, just let us know. We have people tuning in from Cape Town.
Hello, South Africans.
Yes. I remember when I went to South Africa, two things, my funny story. I went to the ATM and I got some money out, and my receipt was in the South African rand. I was like, where did I get all this money from? So that was one story. And then the second story is looking to cross the street, I was looking the wrong way. And so I was So if you are ever traveling internationally, make sure you pay attention if they're left-hand drive or right-hand drive, because the US, we're right hand, and in South Africa, they're left hand. And so when you go to cross the street, you're looking in the wrong direction. They're coming from the other way.
That's amazing. That's so amazing.
Let's see. So we have the site is the best way. I'm just going to put up some comments. The site is the best way to learn clinical research. I'm an investigative site QA. You will learn all on site, and wherever one goes, the knowledge stays. 100%. 20 years later, I've been in the industry 20 years, and my CRC experience is still with me. This one, why is it difficult to get into CROs from site level? Let's see. Any initial thoughts? I have a couple thoughts on that.
Okay. What's this, Samu? Okay. I think I'll take it. I'll add on that because she's African.
So one of the biggest things is you have to make sure that you look at the job that you're applying for. So what are you applying for? Are you applying for something that you have some transferable skills? So from the site level, maybe the better entry-level role at a CRO would be a project specialist or a CTA position. But if you're trying to go from site level straight to CRA or straight to CTM, you aren't showing in your resume and in your background, you don't have those skills quite yet for the CRO to want to say, oh, let me pick up this person's resume. They have the right appropriate background. They qualify. So you have to look at the requirements and the job background. What are they looking for you to be bringing before applying, to make sure there's some match there. That's the biggest thing that I usually see is people are trying to apply for the higher level positions and not willing to take that stepping stone entry level where you only have to be there maybe 1 to 2 years before going to what you truly desire.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Samu, from my side, because I've worked privately with, I receive endless DMs just to ask me this kind of question in South Africa. And that is why I even had the event. And also I have Career Corner with Bogadi, because I'm just trying to have a holistic place where we can answer these kind of questions for people. And I would say to you, what I found works for people from site level, and what I have taught some people that have taken my service privately, is to write your CV with studies that you were involved in. Obviously, like, okay, I'll talk to her like somebody who's at site. You know that the CV that you write at site level is a SAPRA CV. So that you are submitted, they submitted to the regulatory body. So they will stipulate there all the studies that you are involved in. So for your CV to stand out from site level on to CROs, show them that I was involved as a clinical research nurse on this study. It shows them that you know what clinical research is. It shows them that you know medical terminology, and just also state what your role was about. If you were a regulatory assistant and you were doing filing, stipulate that in your background. Just write everything that you are doing. And if you are going to say, I want to be an in-house, research how your transferable skills are going to come into this role that you are looking for, like Tiffany said. So very, very important. Every study that you were involved in, include it on your CV so that people can really see that you were involved in a clinical study. Don't be afraid to have a pay cut. Start anyway.
Yes.
Start anyway. If you need to start anywhere, really, any junior role that you see, go into it. And LinkedIn has a very amazing thing that they help you with resume build up. So you go into your profile, it says build resume. When you create resume, they'll ask you the type of role that you're applying for. If you're applying for CRA, you put in CRA, and it will tell you the skills that you have on your profile, and if they match the role that you're applying for. If you don't have the skills that match the role that you're applying for, they will stipulate the skills that you still need. Then you go back to your role and see where do you apply these skills that they say you need on this next role. Then you can work on those skills.
Yes, great advice. Yeah. Great advice. Okay, next question. Would you say a CRA role is a recommended starter role for someone? Martina, I would not say CRA is the starter role. Study coordinator, clinical trial assistant, project assistant, those are the more starter roles. CRA is more mid-level. You need to know what's going on. The CRCs are going to be looking to you for guidance and making sure that they're doing their items correctly. And if you're coming in brand new, some of those CRCs will eat you alive with the question. They'll say, this person's not experienced. they will complain because they'll know that, you're not able to answer and give them the guidance that they need. So you have to be able to be mid-level, at least, to be CRA with some prior clinical research experience under your belt.
Yeah. And just to add on that, if you happen to be lucky to get a CRA role and you don't have any experience, just ensure that you are buddies with people who have been in the industry, especially your coordinators and your CTAs and your in-house CRAs. Ask them questions. Ask them good questions, and ask them to guide you. Some people are study coordinators because they don't have specific qualifications. They just cannot go up to CRA level, but they have so much experience that you don't have as a junior. So in this industry, never say that I have a PhD and I cannot ask somebody who's a study coordinator. We share information and you can learn from anyone, really.
Yes, exactly. And the other key is don't be afraid to supplement with training, with additional courses, anything that if you are struggling in the CRA role and you may not have a buddy, because some companies have buddies available, some of them are overloaded with work and they can't help you in a true buddy format. You should seek additional research and guidance and training and supplement courses on your own, because you need to be able to fill in those gaps to do your job properly as well.
Yeah, you know best. You know best where you are lacking. So
Mhm.
it's really important to look at trainings and courses outside, even outside of work, and just listen and look at pages that can give you tips. If you are in pharmacovigilance, just read about things in pharmacovigilance. If you don't understand what SAEs are, AEs are, familiarize yourself until now you are confident in yourself.
Great conversation within the chats. I'm looking for specific questions. And someone said very similar to us in the UK. So, we're speaking the same language, whether we're in the US, UK, South Africa, we are all speaking the same.
Same,
Uh,
yes.
yes. Yes. So we have a data manager that's
Oh,
interested in becoming a CRA. Let's talk about this one because data management. What would be some suggestions for someone in data management? I would say networking as well, continuing to get additional skills. You are seeing the data management portion of things. There's different a set of responsibilities as a CRA. So understanding what those responsibilities are and kind of bridging that gap and getting opportunities to shadow would be really good.
yes, absolutely. Being a data manager is I'd say totally different from being a CRA. So just be willing to also just downgrade and go to a level where you work your way up.
Mhm,
It's a total. You know what? CRA work is so specialized. I just
mhm,
wanted to put it out this. It's
yeah,
specialized. It cannot be taught in university. It cannot be taught in another role. You cannot be a regulatory compliance officer and say that you have experience. There's
mhm,
a specific language, the specific things that we do, how we conduct ourselves, how we speak, how your mind, how you ask questions. There are
mhm,
specifics, how you ask questions, how you communicate with investigators, the eye for detail.
mhm,
It's out of this world. The eye
yeah,
for detail, because you need to know already. It's like you have to predict. If site has done this, this is what will happen, and mitigate the risks. You're looking at risks and how can you make sure that we stay compliant.
mhm,
Very, very specialized. So if you're starting from any role, be willing to downgrade. It
mhm,
will work best for you. And if you're good enough, your managers
mhm,
will see your progress. And in CRA world, you can be a CRA2 in 6 months. You
mhm,
can be a CRA2 in a year. So
mhm.
start from the beginning and you work your way up.
Yeah. And CRA work, you can be a CRA. Also, it's the longevity. As long as you want to travel, there's CRAs that are 70 years old still traveling because they love it.
Yeah.
That's something you can do. So it would be worth taking a step back to learn all you can to get the foundation because you can be in that career for a long time.
For a long
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, here's a question. Do you have or use a checklist for all of your tasks? Yes, you have to. And it may be your own checklist. It may be something like a visit to do list. We have one with ClinEssentials. It's a visit to do list where you can just mark off what are my priorities for the day, and you can keep yourself on track and track them while you're on site. But all CRAs have their own kind of internal prep work that their checklist that they all follow as they're going to get ready for a visit or do a SIV or do a closeout. And they're usually specific to the type of visit they're going to be conducting.
Yes, a checklist is important. So you won't have a given checklist. They don't give you a checklist. You will have your checklist. You will have your to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
You know where in the study you are, what's important at that time, and there's so many changes. You must adapt to changes. Sometimes there is a protocol amendment. Then what's important now? It's the ICFs.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to keep up with the study. Where are you in the study? What's the main reason you're going to site? You cannot just wake up and go to site. You need to know why you're going to site and what are you going to complete while
Mm-hmm.
you're at site. It's all
Exactly.
about planning, prior planning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That time
Thank you for
management.
the question.
Yes, that time management piece because you have 8 hours on site. Do you guys have 8 hours in South Africa for
Yes,
monitoring? Okay, yes,
yes,
we have eight
yes,
hours on site as well. And so, how are you going to get through those 5 enrolled patients, 3 screen failures, IP accountability, looking through lab kits to check for expirations, all of the and the regulatory binder within 8 hours? So you have to have your priority. And
yeah.
then don't let them throw a SAE on you. Oh, our
Oh my
patient just had a
goodness.
serious adverse event as you walk through the door. Thank you. So then all of the things you thought you were going to do just get scrapped. And now you have to focus on the serious adverse events.
Yes, yes.
Yes, this is a good one. Time blocking. Have you ever tried time blocking as a CRA? Uh-oh. She might be stuck. Now I do, and not I did when I was a CRA, and I still do that as a CTM. I block time on my calendar, usually on Fridays when I need to do more administrative tasks or need to do more like learning management systems, like SOPs, expenses. Any of those things. You want to block off some time so you can be focused on one task for 2 hours or 1 hour because we can get pulled in so many directions and you can do a piece of 5 different projects. But if you block your time for 30 minutes, I'm going to just focus on this. It goes a long way as a CRA.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Tiffany. You need to look out for yourself. Remember to look out for yourself. So
Mhm.
you know that you have a deadline and you want to focus on this deadline. You don't. There's also a function where you can close your emails so that you don't look at your emails for maybe 30 minutes. Wake up in
Mhm.
the morning, just look at what's urgent and close your emails and do this task. Once
Mhm.
you are done, then you can open time for everybody else. Think
Mhm.
we have constant communication. Somebody's always needing something from you. If you have
Mhm.
multiple sites, it's even worse. Because you can be at site and the other sides are still going to communicate with you.
We lost.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah. And we lost you for a little bit more. You were saying that there's constant pull from you as a CRA, just from a lot of different sources. And then you faded off right there. Uh-oh. We really lost her. She'll join back. So another thing, like she was mentioning, when you get in the CRA role, when you also are in the CTM role, you have to really have that time management skill. And the reason being is you'll have the emails, you'll be traveling, you'll have sites calling you, you'll have things that you have on your to-do list that you know you have to get done, like your expenses, your monitoring visit report. And so you really have to find what would work for you. It's the same thing that works for me will not work for the next person. But do you work a little bit earlier before emails start and people start emailing you? Do you work a little bit later once you can get settled? But you also have to, in that, find that work-life balance because you don't want to be overworked. Overworked is not going to be good at all as well because that will lead to burnout. I'm going to take one more question. Let's see. Hi, all. What are some key points to place in your resume or during an interview to stand out? So, the biggest thing to know is in resumes or with resumes, you may have 1 to 2 minutes at most to captivate the potential employer's attention. So you need to have at the top, which is very good to have, is a professional summary or overview of who you are and what you're looking to do. So for me, a clinical research professional with over 20 years experience looking to continue my clinical trial management experience or continue to lead trials to successful delivery. They're knowing I'm coming with 20 years. They're knowing that I am coming with previous CTM experience, and that's where I want to be and continue to be. So if you're a CRA, you want to throw in that you've been on phase 1 through 4 studies in these oncology, rare disease, gene therapy, whatever your indication. But you want to give them a quick snippet about you on your resume so you can captivate their attention. Once you have their attention, then you can go into the rest of your resume layout. But it's very important that you highlight that on your resume. And then in the interview, you almost have to just regurgitate that same overview. When they say, tell me about yourself, do it very quickly. That 30 seconds, tell them about yourself. Do not go through every single position that you ever have been in the industry. Don't spend 10 minutes telling them about yourself. Only spend 30 seconds or a minute on that, telling me about yourself. So that's how you stand out, because it also shows that you have really good communication skills as well to really get to the point quickly and not belabor the point. And you were able to join us right back at the end. Can you hear us? Oh, let's see. Can you hear us? I'm glad you were able to join back. I think your sound is coming back.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Right at the end. So this was great. I'm happy that we were able to come together and share, our backgrounds and expose our audiences to different ways that you can navigate through clinical research. If you are not connected with either of us, we will put our LinkedIn profiles in the chat so you can connect with us. I will also link that video on how to organize your Outlook. And then, be on the lookout for other events that we have. I'm having a LinkedIn Live, a Q&A this Thursday on my events page. You can see where I just go through Q&As for an hour of any question that you may have. So you can bring that. And you said you have a roundtable as well?
Yes, I have a roundtable, career body. So we speak about all industry questions, any questions that you might have about resumes as well. I know that there's a question about resumes and how to convey your skills in an interview, how to sell yourself, how to fix your profile. That's all we talk about. And we talk about senior CRAs, their journeys as well, their struggles and tips that they can share. That's my passion project. And I really use it to help people find the role that they want. It's easy to say, I want to be a CRA, but with the traveling, sometimes that's really not the ultimate role to choose. You can choose any other role in clinical research. CRA is not the only role in clinical research. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And then on our side, and I get a lot of people that are senior CRAs that want to transition into the clinical trial manager role.
Yeah.
And so I teach a course. It's a 6-week clinical trial manager role where we go through all of the responsibilities for CTM from study startup to study closeout. So you can bridge that gap from CRA to CTM. And when you're in that CTM role, you're able to lead with confidence that you know what you're supposed to do, because it is a different skill set, again, CTM, than it is that you would need in the CRA role.
That's true. And that's why we are here. Because you've been in the role, you are a better person to share your skills and to share how someone would navigate exactly what you're doing. I've been a CTA before. If somebody is saying, I'm struggling in my role as a CTA, I can look at what are your struggles and really how can you navigate. Maybe you are not communicating with your line manager. I can help you with that. Maybe you are doing so much work and you don't have capacity, but you are not actually communicating it. I can help you with that. So it's not just about resume and LinkedIn optimization, but just also how to thrive in your role and make sure that you are seen. Whatever you're doing is being seen and you land a promotion. How do you communicate your hard work? Because we really work hard. And sometimes you are consumed by the hard work and you don't know how to communicate it or show it to your supervisor or your line manager. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. We can go on for hours and hours about clinical research because we're so passionate. But we thank everyone for joining this session. We're definitely going to have another because this was very I learned a lot. The community learned a lot. So we're definitely going to have to get together again.
Definitely. This was an amazing session. Thank you so much for the invite. And thank you for everyone for joining. And yeah, do follow our pages because we share a lot of content about clinical research and our experiences. And I like Tiffany's. Actually, I've been following you since I started. You even have, I know that you have merchandise that you have sticky notes. I think you've had sticky notes before, right?
Yeah, the CRA audit notes, they replaced the yellow sticky notes. So we have that product line.
Yes.
So we have a lot of tools for CRAs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed that so much. I went to your page and I thought this is actually very amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we're all about helping and, the community of clinical research professionals because we're the ones that need to get the job done, but we have to be more efficient sometimes in the way that we're doing it. So that's why we're here on both of our platforms, just helping everyone with that efficiency and the confidence level and getting to their ultimate career goals.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm happy that we have a community and everyone can see that we are doing the same thing as CRAs all around the world. We are actually doing the same thing. Then that means you are qualified to be a CRA anywhere in the world, as long as you are skilled.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, thank you very much.
We had some questions we weren't able to get to, but definitely join the next sessions that we have either jointly or apart from each other for those Q&A and those roundtables where you can get additional questions that you have, answered, or just send us a DM as well on LinkedIn, connect with us. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Have a good evening there in South Africa. And those in the US, thanks for tuning in midday. Have a great rest of your week. And for those that have additional questions, feel free to join me on the Q&A session this coming Thursday on LinkedIn Live as well.
Thank you, everyone.